See if you could tell the difference here in this story and see who is the clear winner here. All right. So, my brother in the early 2000s, he had no real passions, right? Nothing was more important to him one way or the other where you're like, man, that boy is passionate about hiking, running, computers. Like he had none of that. He was just a regular dude, finished high school, now it's time for college. And what my brother did was look at Google around that time and put in the top careers, the top skills, the top profession that will be in high demand for, the year 2010 and beyond, And so he went to school and became an engineer versus me that said, okay, we both went to DeVry. He went before me. He's older than me, but he went to DeVry and he took electrical engineering, right? Because he did this study versus me who went for an A+ certification course. Now, if you know anything about DeVry back in those days, they had these different certification classes. That was like one of the first one, the 1995, of course, with the spark of the PC and all of that. And I'm like so computer literate that, hey, you know what? This would be a quick in and out, get this certification and keep it pushing, right? So I went for the certification course, A+ certification, did amazing in it because, of course, computers were my thing. I was passionate about that. But what happened in the computer world that really flipped the story here was that computers became so cheap to just go buy a new one when your computers were messed up. You got the blue screen of death, the hard drive, the overheating. You know what? Forget taking it to the person, the guy or the gal in the shop to repair it, hit BIOS, go do something in code and get it up and running again. I'll just go buy another computer because it became so cheap. So his degree holds more weight as far as engineering, applying that to different parts of engineering versus an A+ certification, not doing the research and knowing that, computers are coming into market so quickly, a lot of different competitors driving down the price, high demand for it, driving down the prices. The A+ certification was just obsolete within a year. Even while I was taking the course, it started becoming obsolete. So that's the lesson that I want us to focus on today while we go through the highest levels of skills moving 2030 and beyond. Peace. Today we're talking about the skills needed and where the global market is going, where the world market is going. We used to call it an economic planet, and that's the rules that we had to play the game by, being an economic planet. And that kind of rule, gave a leverage to the 4 degrees, 6 degree, 6-year programs in a traditional college, and back then where you didn't know, you'll sign in as an unknown, you don't know what you want to major in. You don't know the minor. So a lot of people stuck their asses in liberal arts, which is probably the most detrimental thing that you could do. But now with the invent of AI, with the invent of tech, with the invent of all of these things, it becomes a digital economic planet, right? So how do you learn those skills? How do you focus on being the best in your area? And you should be able to move silently or loudly with this, right? I'm a big proponent of self-learning. I think self-learning brings the higher income. If you could do things on your own, in your own time, I think that tells a lot about an individual. So I am motivated by learning everything, and everything could be learned, right? But you don't need to learn everything. You need to learn the skills that where the planet is moving, where global moving, governance is moving, governments are moving, countries are moving. They're moving into a digital era. So we have to learn that. And a lot of people are going to get left out because they're scared of this change. However, I don't think you should be afraid of the change. I think you should welcome it by being prepared for the change. It is changing, and it's changing at a high rate. So what you have to do now is do the data. We have to crunch the data to know what these skills are, what you should focus on, and how you could pivot either slowly in your spare time, or just go right head in first with no cap in a program or something that teaches you these skills rapidly, so you could get that job, you could build yourself, so you could be at the forefront of these changes that are happening right now. Let's get into it. So I looked up some stuff today. One being the World Economic Forum, and they did, a future of, beyond 2030, the skills needed. Of course, you're going to start seeing the same kind of conversation, the same kind of topics come up around these skills, and we're going to get into that. However, I also looked at a lot of universities and studies that are coming out, and of course, Indeed always has something where they're doing the top 20 skills that they're seeing being hired for. Of course, they have a value because they have the data, right? They have the folks looking for jobs, and they know the jobs that they applied for and received, and they got the resumes on hand, so they're able to have a clear-cut data. So I pulled a lot of these the information that we need to see where we're going in the next few years. Let's say 10 years. We have a 5-year stint here, but I think we need to start working on what we're working on now. So let's ground that story that I told you about my brother and him making the right choice. And we always stand by that now. Like, any one of our cousins or younger generations coming, we're like, look at where the world is going. I mean, we have our passions, and I think that most of the times our passions we can't leverage them because it doesn't make any money. We're happy doing it, but we can't do it because we don't even have any free time or income to do that. So let's say you love art, you love the Renaissance period in art, right? You want to open up a gallery. So you go to school for Renaissance art period, and you take that as your major, and there's really no jobs in that, right? So the only thing that you could show is that you finished a 4-year college program, which really the person next to you that actually has 4 certifications from Google, did a Coursera, and did their cybersecurity is weighing way better than you, and only spent 2 years doing that. And the the employer will likely choose them because they have the skills that's needed in today's cloud-based AI tech-driven world. So we have to be careful. But instead of going for that art major, maybe you go for the major that's going to bring in the most income to leverage your time, so you could open a gallery and really enjoy your passions that way, and maybe sidestep and have a business in art or whatever the case may be. And I think that's the most important thing that we need to worry about, because a lot of people say go for your passion, but your passion most of the times has no money in it, and we have to be honest with that. And we were getting the wrong information a lot of times, and a lot of times folks on YouTube tell you that. But where's the income coming from, right? The income may not be coming from you as a hobbyist, cyclist, just loving, you want to open up a bike shop. That's great, but where are you going to get the money to open up your bike shop, and so you could do vlogs on cycling and things like that? So this episode is only about the skills of the now and the future, moving quickly. So recruiters are screaming in about, let's put it in like 3 buckets, right? They're screaming about AI, big data fluency, cybersecurity, and network defense. Check this out. I was speaking to someone, and she was like, "Oh, I'm interested in AI security." And I was like, "Man, that's pretty dope," because we're using all these tools, AI tools, and a lot of companies are using all these AI widgets and, big learning languages, and if they're attaching it to intricate parts of their business, where's the security in that? I read on Reddit that someone's ChatGPT was hacked, and they removed all of their whatever they were studying or putting in there, prompting, and their codes. Everything that they've been working on for the last year was gone. It was hacked. So the security behind AI is a big force to be dealt with. I think there's a lot of open playing field for that. So That's where this comes in: cybersecurity and network defense, and broad technological literacy, from cloud to low code automation. People want that type of skill set within their business, because you're going to start seeing that companies, whether startup, big boy companies, they're going to start wanting to do more with less. And the only way that they could do that is through utilizing these tools, these done for yous, whether they're applying it to a section like onboarding and recruiting in their business, whether they're applying it to accounting. You don't need 10 accountants anymore or analysts in that department, when you could just keep 3. One oversees the functions of the tools, and 2's doing the numbers in their old school Excel spreadsheet as a backup. I'm just saying. So creative thinking and raw adaptability are rising just as fast, because even the best coach still need human originality. And that's what you need to worry about, is because we hear AI is taking all of this, but someone has to make sure that AI is actually working, that AI is prompting, and there's a human element, the originality of a human. I could have AI run this entire YouTube channel for me, but that wouldn't make sense for me, because then you'll be bored. It'll be a robot, right? So we still need humans to partake in all the intricacies of any style of business in a YouTube channel. And I just heard that YouTube is not going to give these low effort AI channels any more play. They're going to have to get original content, and I'm happy about that, right? It shouldn't just all be AI and they get the same introduction. You know, some of these channels grow faster than original content creators, right? So either way, needs human originality and resilience when stuff breaks. And things gonna break, code breaks. You know, you're using a lot of power, wattage to run these AI machines. You know, things break. And how could you learn that? So employers are still looking for the soft side too, right? That only humans can deliver, right? Collaboration, dependability, all-time management, alongside data analysis and critical decision making. These critical decision making skills are imperative. I heard Oren Klaff speak. Oren Klaff is the writer, the author of Pitch Anything, and he was saying that in finance, they're not as scared. You know, what AI could do, you know, the research probably quicker, but it takes a gut instinctual presence of a human to kind of say, you know what, I'm running with this deal or I'm not running with this deal. It still has that gut feeling. The numbers don't actually make all of the decisions for that in finance, but there's some still, you know, soft skills that we need here. Emotional intelligence, cultural competence, and environmental sustainability awareness prove that people skills is still needed, right? No matter how technical you get, you still have to have communication. You still have to have interpersonal skills that will be able to run a team or be in a team environment. All right, so students at Hardin-Simmons are hearing the same refrain: blend tech chops with cross-disciplinary creativity, because machines handle routine tasks while humans do the connecting and the storytelling. And that's huge. Lifelong learning isn't a buzzword, and this is what I've been preaching, man, for so long, man. You see all the books in the background, man. It takes me a while to read one book. I spoke about that because once an author mentions another author or another person in that book, I'm gone out of that book that I was originally reading, and I'm learning from where they got their information from. So you got to be in a mood or in a position to want to self-learn. And you don't have to be passionate about the topic. Like right now, I'm very interested in neuroscience for some reason. I'm very interested in the brain. And, you know, so, and persuasion and persuasion. So I start looking into that. I'm not passionate about that, but it helps with marketing. It helps with how humans think on an emotional level. So I take up these type of things. Anything I'm interested in, we're going to learn it. Okay. So, Even Reddit's hiring managers complain they can't find applicants who can speak like a human being. And comments point out that decades of college only advice left us with a shortage of electricians, millwrights, and other skills trades. So I don't want to just keep it on the whole AI technological thing. There's skilled trades that are going to be needed and vastly, and they're going to pay great money for this hands-on, blue collar, hard work kind of thing. But you're going to get your money worth now, because there's, in 2008 there was a shortage in nursing, and so I went to nursing school, right? And because of that, now that's kind of leveled itself out. It's kind of reached an equilibrium. But now there's a shortage because everyone wants to be behind the computer. Everyone wants to be a vibe coder. Everyone wants to be, go to school for computer science. So millwrights, electricians, plumbers, and all of this, contractors, roofers, all of these things now that takes your hand to do the work is a much needed skill, and we're not finding a lot of it. Okay. If the degree bubble needed any more air let out, Forbes, I read an article, flatlined it in February, right? Traditional diplomas are losing pricing power as companies like Walmart, Google, and IBM purge degree requirements in favor of verified skills, certifications, and portfolio of actual work. Now, Amazon is a huge part of this, right? Amazon is keeping that 4-year degree thing going like you wouldn't believe. You cannot become a manager inside of any Amazon departments if you don't have a 4-year degree. So there's some corporations that are still holding on to the 4-degree logic. Amazon is one of them. So you could go to be a manager in Amazon doing something you have no passion in or don't know anything about, and you will beat the person that does have that experience only because you have a degree. So, but Google and IBM, they purged their degree requirement. This thing is a thing of the 90s. It's a thing of the early 2010s. You don't need it. Even billionaire founders are chiming in. Nikhil Kamath says that the only irreplaceable asset a decade from now will be continuous upskilling. So I'm telling you, this is where you have to go. This is how you gotta actually focus your energy on, is build more skills, add more skills, needed skills, not just passionate skills, needed skills. So how do you pivot? Quietly inside your current job or loudly into a brand new lane? This is what I spoke about. First, you got to take an inventory of yourself. Open up maybe your Word or your Google Doc or whatever, or type it on your phone and write down 5 skills you could sell tomorrow. Cross-check that with the World Economic Forum's up-and-coming list. So the World Economic Forum's up-and-coming list is AI, cybersecurity, tech literacy, creative ideation, resilience leadership, talent management, analytical thinking, and environmental stewardship. Mind the gaps, okay? Second, pick one sealable upgrade and carve out 20 focused hours this month. Hunter's 50 plus high income skills list is like a candy store. Check this out. Cloud architecture, product management, UX, okay? Growth hacking, quantum computing, you name it. So there's articles out here that's telling you these are the type of skills you need, and this is where you need it. They'll even tell you where to learn each one. So I'll go ahead and put that article in the description if you need. So choose something that pairs with what you already know, so your past experience become a force multiplier. Third, prototype in public. You could do a mini app, a dashboard, a 1-page case study, or share it on LinkedIn. You have to kind of live the skill now that you're learning, right? Don't just live it or learn it, or, you put your 20 hours in, you put your 50 hours in, you put your 100 hours in, and you're not actually utilizing it. You're just hoping and praying for that employer, the right job to come across. I would start utilizing that skill in everyday thing. Now, like this channel has I'm interested in learning, interested in data, interested in analytics, I'm putting it to use in via this channel and with a newsletter. So, and this channel is how I got into AI. This channel is how I created a chat bot for relocation as a relocation specialist. So I'm actually utilizing the skills I'm learning and I'm putting it front force, and I'm learning every day. Okay, this is how I tweak it. Oh, let me take this course and learn that. So think about how you could utilize it in your everyday, and you never know, you may buck up on something that turns into a whole ass career for yourself, or a business for yourself. So think about it that way. All right, so here's some things that I pulled from Reddit in a comment. This is around specific area of skills. Sarah, 37, was a payroll clerk, 6 months of night school, data analytics later. She's a remote data analyst clearing 92 grand. Okay, you don't have to sit in that 50 grand a year job. There's things that you could do. Tom, 45, parlayed his equipment tech know-how into security plus certification, paid double when his plant opened a cyber division. Right now, imagine that too. I think the current company that you're with, even if it's a small company or a large one, they're going to open up new departments. They're going to open up new opportunities to leverage what's happening in tech, what's happening in AI, and you'll be at the forefront of it. And hey, I'm going to apply for that. First of all, I have the experience with the employer, but second of all, I've been studying this. I've been doing this for so long, and I've been, prototyping it out. I've been learning it and actually doing it. I'm going to apply for this position, and you never know, you may get that position with that. Lisa, 52 years old, taught English. She layered a UX writing cert on her storytelling chops and now freelances into 6 figures. So you never know when you get that extra skill, if it's going to even spark something inside of you to say, you know what, I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm actually going to do business in this. I'm going to either be a freelancer, or I'm going to ship it, I'm going to do whatever it is. You have the opportunity to do it. So here's some challenge. Audit the skills that you already have, because you already have skills. You might be great at communication. You might be great at decision making. You may be great at emotional intelligence. Leverage these things, write them down, because these are great skills that you already have. You may be great at plumbing. You may be great. Write these things down. All right. Then spot one market gap. Commit to a 20-hour learning sprint. Learn that thing. Get the book. Go to a course. Even, I hate it though, but YouTube University, right? There's kids out here learning how to options trade because of YouTube, learning how to write code with Python because of YouTube. So you can't get mad of it. There's that free Camp Base Code YouTube channel that I think is great for anyone that really wants to learn about tech and AI and where that's going. So there's a lot of people that's not just scammers out here that's really wants to teach and help you develop your skills. So commit to a 20-hour learning sprint. If you could do, I would say 1,000 hours in whatever you're doing, then do that. You know what? The next thing I want to know is in the comments, where do you think this world is going? Do you think it's going to a digital economic planet like I mentioned? You think it's staying the same? Are you in fear of AI? Are you in fear of tech? Do you have any skills that you could leverage? Let me know what you're thinking in the comments so we could have a conversation, because I want to cheer anyone on that's thinking about self-improvement, that's thinking about where the world's going next. I don't want to be the 18, 19-year-old me that just said, you know what, I'm passionate about computers and fixing computers, so I'm going to take an A+ certification with no research, and A+ certification became obsolete within 2 years of DeVry having that. So I don't want that. I just want you guys to look at the data. So, I do have a newsletter where I'm recalibrating and kind of rebranding the newsletter to help people like this, right? Average, working class, middle class, anyone that wants to leverage their position in life, right? And go to somewhere bigger, faster, better, and get success, but while using data. And I think that's the most important thing. So I give 10 gems on where to live, work, and invest every Sunday. I would love you to be a part of that newsletter. All you got to do is go to StrizzyReport.com, sign up. It's just your email. I don't spam you. You get one newsletter a week until I change the frequency. I really want to do it on a daily basis, but we need way more people in there than I have now. So don't wait for disruption to find you. It's already getting disrupted in any which way. Read articles, learn what's moving, be involved in the change, because that's the only way that you're going to stay ahead of the game. Peace.